Welcome back to The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, one of the most transformative guides on the art and science of wealth creation. In this chapter, Wattles unveils a powerful truth: getting rich is not a matter of chance or talent, it is a precise science. Let's dive into Chapter 2. There is a science of getting rich, and discover how this science works, and why it guarantees success to anyone who applies it faithfully. Chapter 2. There is a science of getting rich. Getting rich is not a matter of environment, for if it were, all the people in certain neighborhoods would become wealthy, the people of one city would all be rich, while those of other towns would all be poor, or the inhabitants of one state would roll in wealth, while those of an adjoining state would be in poverty. But everywhere we see rich and poor living side by side, in the same environment, and often engaged in the same vocations. When two men are in the same locality, and in the same business, and one gets rich while the other remains poor, it shows that getting rich is not, primarily, a matter of environment. Some environments may be more favorable than others, but when two men in the same business are in the same neighborhood, and one gets rich while the other fails, it indicates that getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way. And further, the ability to do things in this certain way is not due solely to the possession of talent, for many people who have great talent remain poor, while others with very little talent get rich. Studying the people who have gotten rich, we find that they are average in all respects, having no greater talents or abilities than thousands of others. It is evident that they do not get rich because they possess talents and abilities that others lack, but because they happen to do things in a certain way. Getting rich is not the result of saving, or thrift. Many very penurious people are poor, while free spenders often get rich. Nor is getting rich due to doing things which others fail to do, for two men in the same line of work often do almost exactly the same things, and one gets rich while the other remains poor. From all these things, we must come to the conclusion that getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way. If getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way, and if like causes always produce like effects, then any man or woman who can do things in that way can become rich, and the whole matter is brought within the domain of exact science. The question arises here, whether this certain way may not be so difficult that only a few may follow it. This cannot be true, as far as natural ability is concerned. Talented people get rich, and blockheads get rich, intellectually brilliant people get rich, and very stupid people get rich, physically strong people get rich, and weak and sickly people get rich. Some degree of ability to think and understand is, of course, essential, but insofar as natural ability is concerned, any man or woman who has sense enough to read and understand these words can certainly get rich. Also, we have seen that it is not a matter of environment. Location counts for something. One would not go to the heart of the Sahara and expect to do successful business. Getting rich involves the necessity of dealing with men and of being where there are people to deal with, and if these people are inclined to deal in the way you want to deal, so much the better. But that is about as far as environment goes. If anybody else in your town can get rich, so can you. And if anybody else in your state can get rich, so can you. Again, it is not a matter of choosing some particular business or profession. People get rich in every business, and in every profession, while their next-door neighbors in the same vocation remain in poverty. It is true that you will do best in a business which you like and which is congenial to you, and if you have certain talents that are well developed, you will do best in a business that calls for those talents. Also, you will do best in a business which is suited to your locality. An ice cream parlor would do better in a warm climate than in Greenland, for example. But, aside from these general limitations, getting rich is not dependent on your doing something, but upon your doing things in a certain way. If you are now in business, and anybody else in your locality is getting rich in the same business, while you are not getting rich, it is because you are not doing things in the same way that the other person is doing them. No one is prevented from getting rich by lack of capital. True, as you get capital the increase becomes more easy and rapid, but one who has capital is already rich and does not need to consider how to become so. It is true that you can do nothing without capital, yet it is also true that you can have capital, and it is the process of doing things in the certain way that leads to capital. The getting of capital is part of the process of getting rich, and it is a part of the result that invariably follows the doing of things in the certain way. You may be the poorest person on the continent, and be deeply in debt. You may have neither friends, influence, nor resources, but if you begin to do things in this way, you must infallibly begin to get rich, for like causes must produce like effects. If you have no capital, you can get capital. If you are in the wrong business, you can get into the right business. If you are in the wrong location, you can go to the right location, and you can do so by beginning in your present business and in your present location to do things in the certain way which causes success. There you have it, Chapter 2, reminding us of one vital truth: riches are not the result of chance, talent, or luck, but of applying a scientific method that always works. Up next is Chapter 3, where we explore a fascinating idea: is opportunity monopolized? If you found value in this reading, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more empowering chapters of the science of getting rich. Let's continue the journey to abundance, together.